Jeffrey Seif here, and hello to you. We're in the book of Acts, the 28th chapter, and I'm interested in verses 7 through 10. Fascinating story here. Paul is on a voyage to Rome courtesy of the empire. He got arrested and he's being transported, and the boat ran aground and they were marooned, shipwrecked. It was a mess. And we read before, that is in the previous reading in verses 1 through 6, how they get there on the island and run into superstitious people who think he's a god one minute and the devil the next. You know, it's sometimes people can be very funny like that. In any case, if you've ever found yourself, you're just kind of in a lurch, you're in trouble, and Paul and company are really in trouble here. They're really in the middle of nowhere, and but sometimes people and resources have a way of showing up, and that's good news too, because if you've ever been somewhat destitute, you know the experience when it's hard to find a friend, it's hard to find a dollar. Now we're told in verse 7, now in the vicinity around the place were lands belonging to the most prominent man of the island, named Publius. He welcomed us and hosted us. So here, it's interesting, a wealthy man, something of a mover and a shaker, the man of renown in the region, is kindly inclined toward Paul and the group. We're told that they were hosted by him and received warmly. He tells us in verse 8, Luke does, that this man's father was sick and Paul visited him, prayed for him, laid hands on him, and the man got healed. It's an interesting exchange here. Someone's kindly disposed toward Paul. Paul wants to go out of his way because that man has a need. His father is ill, and goes and prays for him. And the man is healed in verse 9. And after this, the rest of the sick on the island started coming and getting healed. You can see here where Paul's stock in the world is beginning to rise. The net result is, of course, they're not going to stay there forever. In verse 10, they heaped honors on us, Luke says. And when we sailed, they put on board all the supplies we needed. I mention this because you can just read a few paragraphs before. Paul and company are getting tossed about on the open seas. They have to throw away their cargo, their resources, and eventually they had to give up the ship. All seemed lost, and Paul was there to prophesy, no, we'll lose the ship. We've lost the supplies, but there won't be loss of life. And now there they are, just kind of washed up, all washed up, if you've ever heard the expression. Well, they literally were all washed up. And sometimes it can happen in life where we just get all washed up. What can I say? It happened to him. You know, and I figure if it can happen to someone like Paul, it can happen to someone like me and like you. It just happens. You know, life has its mountain peaks and its valleys. You know, it has its dark and rainy days, and it has its sunny days with nice white puffy clouds. You know, you get it all. And well, here things have gone from bad to worse yet. They're swept up on the shore. And interestingly and providentially, that the man's fortunes begin to change. The net result is, you know, he, when it comes time to leave the island, is all stocked with fresh supplies and was treated honorably while he was there. It's a great story. And it's a great reminder. Reminder of what? Well, it's a reminder that help comes. True, it's a reminder as well that we do well to bloom where we're planted. Sometimes we're not landed on happy circumstances. And if you look at Paul, I mean, he's going to serve the Lord and praise him whether he's in prison, whether he's marooned on an island. I mean, life's a journey. And if you look at biblical characters, it's not all, you know, happy days are here because of God. You know, I mean, people that have a call of God in their life experience some trials. They're testing moments that make them into the people that they wind up becoming, whether it's Joseph, who's betrayed by his brothers and, thrown into prison and misconstrued and everything. And, look what happens to him. Whether it's David, who's anointed, disdained then by his own family on the run from Saul for years, and look what happened to him. Whether it's Jesus Christ, look what happened to him. And the Lord delivered him, from death, literally. And here, it's not literal death, but certainly Paul could have died. But we see that he rebounds from these abysmal circumstances. And that's just really good to know, because this sense of God helping and leading and reconfiguring circumstances isn't just experience for people written on the pages here in the Bible. It's for all the ages, not just for all the pages. Those that walk by faith, by faith we believe that God can pull the rabbit out of the hat, that he can create things out of nothing, that he can turn around abysmal circumstances. And it's just great to see it here. I don't see you, but I'm glad you're out there. Thanks for joining me on the journey into Paul's travels. Let's do this again in a week. Ciao.